At a hotel bar, a billionaire CEO overhears a young pianist playing a melody no one else should know. The dimly lit bar hummed with the low murmur of conversation as glasses clinked and waiters moved gracefully between tables. The air smelled of aged whiskey and expensive cologne, a fitting atmosphere for the high-end hotel where some of the world's wealthiest gathered. Among them sat Ethan Caldwell, a billionaire CEO known for his sharp instincts and relentless drive. He swirled his drink absent-mindedly, drowning out the noise, until his fingers froze around the glass. A melody drifted through the room, soft yet haunting. His heart stopped. It was a tune no one else should know, a melody written by his late father, a composer whose final piece had never been released to the public. Ethan had grown up hearing that melody, played only within the walls of his childhood home. Yet here, in a hotel thousands of miles away from his past, a stranger's hands were bringing it to life on the piano. His gaze snapped to the source, a young pianist, barely in his 20s, lost in the music. Ethan's pulse pounded as memories came rushing back. Who was this boy? And how did he know this song? Ethan stood slowly, pushing away from the bar. His polished shoes barely made a sound against the floor as he approached the pianist, his eyes locked onto the young man's fingers. The song ended on a soft, lingering note, and silence followed. Then Ethan spoke. "Where did you learn that?" The pianist looked up, startled. He had deep brown eyes, full of something familiar, something Ethan couldn't quite place. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know anyone else knew this melody." Ethan's jaw tightened. "That's because no one else should." The pianist swallowed hard, his hands clenching into fists. "It was my father's song. He used to play it for me when I was little." Ethan felt the air leave his lungs. "Your father?" The young man nodded, hesitant. His name was Daniel Caldwell. Ethan's world tilted. Daniel Caldwell, his father. This wasn't possible. His father had only ever had one son, him. Unless... Ethan staggered back, his mind racing. "That's not possible," he whispered. "Daniel Caldwell was my father." The pianist's eyes widened. "What?" His voice cracked. That can't be." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, his thoughts spiraling. If this young man was telling the truth, it meant one thing. His father had kept a secret. A massive one. Ethan's billionaire empire, his entire life, had been built on the belief that he was his father's only child. Yet here, in the middle of a hotel bar, he had just found out that wasn't true. The pianist, his brother, was shaking his head. "No. My mother said he was just a struggling musician. She never told me about you." Ethan exhaled sharply. "And my mother never told me about you." His voice was eerily calm, but his mind was racing. Had his father lived two lives? The bartender, sensing the tension, stepped back nervously. Guests around them were starting to notice the intensity between the two men. Finally, Ethan spoke again. "What's your name?" The young man hesitated before answering. "Liam." Ethan looked at him for a long moment, then reached into his pocket, pulling out his business card. "We need to talk." Liam took the card, his fingers trembling. "I think we do." The two men sat in Ethan's private suite hours later, piecing together their father's past. Old letters, faded photographs, and a journal that Ethan had never touched before, one that had been buried in a box of his father's belongings, told the story. Daniel Caldwell had been a man torn between two worlds. He had built a life with Ethan's mother, pushing himself into high society, yet he had never let go of the woman he truly loved, Liam's mother. He had secretly supported both families, never revealing the truth, perhaps hoping they would never cross paths. But fate had a different plan. Liam leaned forward, staring at the journal, his hands shaking. He never told either of us the full truth. Ethan, for the first time in years, felt something deep in his chest. A weight lifting. He had spent his life chasing success, trying to live up to the legacy of a father he barely understood. And now he had found a missing piece of that legacy in the most unexpected way. Finally, he looked at Liam. "If you're my brother, then that means I've been living my life thinking I was alone when I wasn't." Liam met his gaze, hesitant but hopeful. "Maybe we don't have to be alone anymore." Ethan nodded. For the first time, the billionaire CEO saw something more valuable than money: family.